Welcome to Words of Wisdom from Kick-Ass Women.
Stories and advice about moving forward, punching through that glass ceiling, pushing harder, and blazing trails from women we really admire.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Words of Wisdom from Kick-Ass Women. I'm Liz Brohan. I'm glad to have you here. I know it looks a little different today. That's because even though this episode will air when it's warm outside, we're in Chicago and it's -8 degrees today. So we're all cozied up at home, but expect to have a great conversation. You know, today we're talking with a woman who doesn't just understand how to build careers. She's actually talking to us today about how to redefine yours and build it around your life. So that's a very exciting topic.
It is. I'm Mary Olivieri, Liz's partner in crime, so to speak. Today's episode, we've been excited about this for a long time because we have a returning guest for the first time who has made waves ever since the first time she actually joined us.
Absolutely. If you didn't get a chance to tune in to Janet's first episode, please go back and take a listen because she doesn't just talk about building careers. She's going to tell us exactly how to implement the kind that fit the life that we all are dreaming of. And that to me sounds like the most important thing in the world right now.
That's right. So welcome, Janet. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be back talking about my favorite topic. I always love anything related to leveraging human capital in the right way, but now we're talking about doing it for ourselves, right? How to best leverage our abilities, our capital in this world and for our lifestyle.
Yeah, and just let me add a little bit of explanation really quick. The last episode was all about, it's not about climbing the corporate ladder, it's about crossing the bridge. So today, we're not going to learn just what that means, although we'll recap a little bit of that, but we're going to actually talk about how do you implement that. So here we go, right?
Here we go. So let's start with that idea of the bridge itself, Janet. Can you talk about what that means and why it's important, like right now in our world?
Absolutely. So to me, and these are my definitions. I wish I was quoting someone with much stronger background and proven research in this area, but I'm working off of 40 years of experience as my base.
There you go.
In counseling people and utilizing my human capital background. And to me, a bridge means that you're determining and planning what routes you need to take that work best for you so that you can have your total life. Right? We're now managing your total life, not just your career. Or in other words, not just your professional life, but we're looking at your personal life, your spiritual life, your physical life, your mental life, your emotional life. We're total people these days. 40 years ago, we weren't as total. We have so much more to manage. And in keeping that in mind and trying to equate that to success, I try to teach people how to bridge careers and not just focus on running up ladder rungs to get to a predetermined successful career. There are a lot of successful careers that you can have out there by bridging across over time to create not only a successful professional, but a successful, all those other categories that I mentioned, right?
I see. So it can be vertical, but it can also be horizontal, I think is what you're saying, correct?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you know what's interesting? For purposes of today, I actually looked it up in Oxford because the concept of vertical in the Oxford Dictionary, it literally says involving different levels of a hierarchy or progression. So I love that. Yeah. That doesn't say go up, right? The Oxford Dictionary does not say vertical means go up. It means achieving different levels of progression. We're talking about doing the same thing here. Right? We're talking about being able to progress by achieving different levels of that progression over time. And so that's why bridging to me is so important. I think focusing on the holistic self is a very big deal today. It's important to all of us. And I think still achieving is important to all of us. So how do we meld those two?
Oh
right?
my gosh, you're singing from my hymnal here, Janet. So I have an interesting story. So I was working at an agency, a big agency in Chicago, and there were three of us that were all women creative directors. And our managing director came in. He was new, and he made us get all locked into a room. And he said, we aren't being profitable. You need to cut $275,000 out of your staffing budget. So we had to lay people off, which felt horrible to me. And I didn't agree. I thought we were really profitable. I got access to those reports, right? And so we felt really bad. We had to let people go. 2 weeks later, he brings in a guy over all three of the female group creative directors. And he's going to be the executive creative director. And in my mind, I'm like, I bet you he's getting paid $275,000 a year, right?
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't like how that was handled. And so I did leave there. I felt very uncomfortable. I felt bad about these young people who were working for me that we had to lay off. It was terrible. And I made a lateral move. I stayed at the level I was at, and I moved to another agency because personally and emotionally and mentally and professionally, I felt what was happening at that agency that I was at was wrong. So I think that we can really think about, sometimes the move is made, but it leads to other greater things. A year later, I was working for Liz Brohan as her executive creative director. So my lateral move ended up being a huge move for me, and it was all born from a personal belief that what was happening was wrong.
And yay for me.
And yay for both of us.
Right. It's if you really watch and pay attention to this, you'll even look at what's happening right now today. Mm-hmm. I loved the story of Fernando Mendoza. Right?
Yes.
The quarterback for Indiana that just took the Natty for the first time in Indiana's history, right?
And the Heisman.
Right, and the Heisman, right? Heisman-Doza, absolutely. Some of the things that are being written about what he has said, even he has aligned with the concept of bridging. He bridged from Berkeley to Hoosierville, right? Because in his own quote, I have to read this quote. He says, I left to find a system that would turn me into a pro-ready quarterback. So nice. Even he lateraled, or in some people's perspectives, took a step back by going to Indiana, which is not a known football program, right? For the sake of trying to engage and take himself to the next level. So I don't care what your walk of life is, what you do for a living, on a professional scale basis, this applies all over the place.
Well, that step backward is terrifying, right? I know, Liz, you have a story about leaving direct marketing and taking a step backward too, right? It's scary.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a step backwards for me, but I bridged to a whole different discipline in marketing. I came up learning all about direct marketing and was completely immersed in direct marketing. And after a while, I thought, well, I think I've learned everything I need to learn about direct marketing. Okay, not exactly smart of me, but that's what I thought. So I left direct marketing to join the number 2 sales promotion agency in the country because I wanted to learn sales promotion. So to me, it's exactly what you're talking about, Janet. It's about bridging to learn, right? And not just climb the corporate ladder.
Right. I think the big difference between experiences from, let's not go all the way back, let's just say 30 years ago, right? Versus experiences today, I think younger generations today literally want to make an entire career out of that kind of movement, out of gaining experience, gaining education, gaining insight, gaining an opportunity to make impact. They want their careers to be made up of that, hence bridging. Right? Versus most of us came up in the era of ladder climbing.
Right.
And so the concept of being willing to accept this as a mindset, for setting you up for success is a big step in making that happen.
So I think I hear you saying that, like, people need to learn how to let go of the idea that a career is a straight line, right? And
Yes.
it feels more like a map. You mentioned some multiple routes, and with that, probably many detours as well, right? Do you have any stories, Janet, of you where you had to take some detours yourself, and how that became valuable and even better than what you might have imagined?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, good.
You could literally say I'm on a detour right now.
Okay.
But I could go all the way back. I mean, after a 40-year corporate career, to buy a national franchise publication platform, that was nowhere on my map. Right.
Right.
That it is by far one of the most rewarding and challenging and rewarding experiences I've had in a very, very long time. And so I would say, coming off of what most would have perceived as a traditional climbing of a ladder through function to get to a general management role, CEO, CMO, COO, Chief Sales and Strategy Officer, pick one, right? It's a huge detour to be able to say, yeah, you know what? Now I want to go buy a national franchise and see what I can do with that, right? So detours abound. I should have a flag made for myself. I love the detour. I think you learn more, you test yourself, you push yourself, you make new networks happen, you learn new skill sets. There's so much that comes from a detour that is absolutely a big part. When we talk about bridging, most people think, oh, you're talking about taking a lateral. No, more than that. Right? It's not just a lateral move across to something. It's changing function, changing industry, changing geography, taking that detour, as Mary was saying, right? It's all of these things plus some. Create a new one, right? That would allow people to truly re-engage themselves and continue to build that bridge that's going to take them to the ultimate spot that they want to end up in.
I relate to that, Janet. Yeah.
I think most everybody who's listening relates to that in some way or another. And I just wanted to reinforce that it doesn't necessarily take guts, right? It sounds like what you did was very gutsy and brave. And what I did was just because I wanted to learn something different. It wasn't because I thought I was being gutsy or brave. So everybody's pathway or route, as Mary was just telling us, is going to be different. But I just love the idea of take it no matter what.
Well, I want to speak to that a little bit too, because some people are really good at that, right? Some people are like, oh, a fork in the road. I'm going to be decisive about it. Personally, and this is for listeners out there that are more like the feelingsy type of people like myself. I hit a huge change in my life 2 years ago, and I didn't know how to pivot. I was really stuck and sad and confused, and I couldn't make a move, right? It's only recently that I'm starting to think about making that move. So I want to talk a little bit about being okay feeling stuck for a little while, right? I think that's important to recognize. We're all badass, kick-ass women, but we all come in different forms. And sometimes we're not the ones who are like, holy crap, this huge change just happened. I know, I'll go over here. Some of us just sit in that shock for a while,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's important to identify.
To accept that shock, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you recall, there's a segment on Friends. I think it may even be called Pivot, where three of them are trying to get a couch up a winding staircase.
Yeah.
I love that episode. Yeah.
Every time they say the word pivot, they laugh.
Yes.
I personally think that's great remedy.
Right.
When you are trying to pivot and it's not easy and you can't figure it out, laugh.
Yeah.
It's okay on the back end. Maybe you're not lifting a heavy couch up a staircase, but whatever you're doing, acknowledge that it's a pivot, accept it,
right.
Laugh.
Yeah, I love that.
You're going to get through it. Whatever skill sets got you to the success level that you're at, those same skill sets are going to transfer and get you through the pivot, right? There is a, one of the things I like to chat about is how managing through this bridge, you got to change that mindset. You've got to accept that there has to be a better way to manage career. You also have to command those hard skills, those soft skills, right?
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, you were talking about skill sets. Can you break down? I don't want to interrupt you. You're on a roll.
No,
but eventually, I would love to hear you break down the hard versus soft skills.
Sure. I love the lots of different ways that people talk about that, whether it's, hard skills got you in the room. This is my favorites, right? Hard skills got you in the room. Soft skills keep you there.
Right.
I love that. So hard skills are clearly those technical, usually educationally based abilities that you have to command knowledge in a specific space.
That's
right?
so well put. Yeah.
Accounting, finance, technology, it doesn't matter what the space is. You're commanding a set of knowledge in that space. Those are the hard skills. And many of us transition hard skills over time. We raise them, we grow new ones, we bury the old ones. But it's the soft skills that are always the hardest to master. And I think I mentioned in the last episode that I'm a big follower of Center for Creative Leadership, which has been tracking executive success since the 70s. And they talk about derailers, those factors that push people off successful paths. Majority of those derailers are soft skills.
It's so interesting. Yeah.
Yes. And so the skills of communication, persuasion, negotiation, team building, leadership, etc. The soft skills, the things don't always come hardcore in a workbook. Sometimes they do. Right?
Well, I mean, those are skills that AI definitely can't replace, right?
That's right. They can tell you what they are.
Yeah, they can tell you what they are. Yes.
All of it works to build great credibility, right? And
Absolutely.
Even I was just thinking, Mary, about your story about being stuck. Even when we're stuck, I think what's great about things like AI and what's happening today is that we all can continue to learn, no matter where we are. And even if we're like, oh gosh, I don't really feel like trying to pursue anything new, this stuff kind of comes at it and you just start absorbing it, I should say. And the next thing you know, you do have new skill sets. Sometimes they're hard and sometimes they're soft.
Right. I think, but I really think that those soft skills, what you're saying, Janet, I've seen people who would be miraculous if it weren't for the fact that they just didn't have those soft skills, right? Like you said, we go to school, we learn these things. I remember working with a copywriter. He was such a good copywriter. His soft skills were so bad. He couldn't read a room. He thought his priorities were everyone's priorities. Like, it was really, really rough to watch somebody who had the hard skills, but not the soft skills, try to navigate and grow laterally, vertically, horizontally, bridges, ladders. He wasn't going to get there because he was so off-putting, and just didn't have those skills. So, I think it's important for our listeners to hear that.
I agree. I mean, there are certainly some roles where a person can get away with having an extremely strong set of hard skills, maybe zero in the soft skill department, but it's okay. You can segment them, separate them, and allow them to operate in an environment where maybe those soft skills are not as critical. I would say that today, it may not be, the case with a lot of jobs, but with some, right? And I think people that are not encouraged to bring out their soft skills, it's an unfortunate like missed opportunity, I think, because everyone's got them. It's just a matter of pulling them out, honing them, and hoping that they want to continue to use them. If they don't, they don't. That's fine.
Right.
But
Mary made me want to help that copywriter she talked about.
Yeah.
It's so funny, Liz. I fired him. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. There was nothing you could do with this guy. But there's, I like that. Yeah. AI tools can help you with those hard skills, but trying to teach him, oh, Liz, you probably could have helped him. Although, and we won't name names, but I think he freelanced for you years before I showed up, and you guys didn't like him and escorted him out the door as well. So I don't know if you could have helped him, but I think that, there's so many resources out there, right, that will help you, is what I think you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
They're endless today.
Janet, you're a huge proponent of using resources wherever possible, right?
I think even more today than ever before, not only supporting the bridge concept, but the learning opportunities that exist are so overwhelming today. Whether it's websites or podcasts, right? Or AI, as we brought up, or books or seminars or certifications, or the list is endless, where we've never had such a plethora of opportunity for learning ever before. It's amazing. And depending upon what someone is wanting to pursue, it's difficult for me to say, here's the perfect list for you. But I will say that when it comes to keeping your skills sharp, both hard and soft, go ahead, go to AI and look up best way to hone my X, right? And you'll get all the resources you can imagine. So it's wonderful that you've got this directory right at your hand, in your hand, right, to be able to determine what resources are there for you. But there are a couple of what I'll call diehard resources that at least I have become attached to over the years. One is A Good Economist. So I have followed Diane Swank since I think she was back at Bank One 30 years ago. I attach yourself to an economist that you can understand, right? So that you can keep a good, even keeled feel for what's going on in our world. And so I always put that on everybody's list. I don't care what you do, keep tabs. And so
That's
get a good
great tip for people. I never would have thought of that. I just wrote that down. I'm like, I got to get me an economist.
Seriously. And there's a ton out there. I don't know why I've always been attached to Diane, but I think maybe because she's a Chicago-based gal. She's currently the chief economist for KPMG, and she's held amazing roles over her tenure. But it's her insight and the manner in which she communicates what is going on economically around the globe. It helps me understand. It kind of sets my level set up here, right? And then I think before I get into those hard skills, there's a couple of books, believe it or not, a couple of books that have always been, excuse a religious connotation, but have always been the Bible for me, have always been like the book, right? You guys may be familiar with The First 90 Days. This thing has been around. I mean, you could see my pages there. But The First 90 Days by Michael Watkins, he helps you determine, regardless of what your role is, this is where this is great for bridging, right? Regardless of your role, he helps you figure out the most successful way to get through the first 90 days in a new role. And the things I love most about this book, and I don't know how many editions have been published so far, but I have given this as gifts to people. It's a very powerful piece. It teaches you how to promote yourself and accelerate your learning. So you're promoting yourself because whatever you've done to get you that role, got to have some credence there, right?
Right.
And then how do you best accelerate your new learning in that job?
Yeah.
And then the third concept was you got to post up. You have to post a result within 90 days to prove your worth. Right. So even if you just grab those 3 little nuggets from that book and keep this book handy with you every job you go to, honestly, even when I bought the franchise at my ripe young age, right, I literally reminded myself, okay, I'm going at this with something completely different. What are the first things I want to make sure I focus on? So I would encourage that as a resource for people, especially bridgers. The other one is a book called The Influencer.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one, but it's it's from the authors of Crucial Conversations, which has been on the New York Times bestseller list forever.
Right.
But it literally teaches you the power of playing that influencer role, because as a bridger, that's got to be a key skill set for you. As someone that's going to bridge up, down, sideways, over, across, you have to have a bag of skills called influential, right? What do you do to be influential? And this is a great book to help you do that.
I think that that's wonderful. I mean, these are great resources, listeners. I get your hands on them, audio or physical.
Absolutely.
You've talked about these types of resources. What about human being resources like mentors?
Yep.
A rumor has it that you recommend two types. So could you kind of lead us down that path?
Absolutely. And I'd like to take credit for that idea, but that came from someone that mentored me many, many years ago. And the concept was you should always have at least two mentors. You can have 12, but grab at least two. One aspirational. So that's someone that Mary, that Liz, that's someone that has done what you want to do, whether it's in a certain role, whether it is how they got there, whether it is, oh my gosh, look at her. She had 4 kids, maintained this incredible career, has a happy marriage, is a gym rat. I want to be just like her. Right. So you need an aspirational mentor.
Gotcha.
And then the second mentor that I always thought was fascinating is this concept of someone that's going to ground you. And not punish you, ground you, but ground you meaning that they keep you solid, they keep you stable, right? There have been years when I've used some of my children. My children are all in their 30s, very successful in their own rights, and I've used them as my grounding mentors. That when I go off and get goofy, pull me back, right? And I've given them permission. And so I think having at least one of each type. So it's kind of a stretching thing, right? Someone that's going to help you stretch and then someone that's going to keep you grounded.
I've always thought of Mary as a grounded mentor. I don't know if you agree with that or not, Mary, but that's kind of how you always are.
Oh, I appreciate, maybe I'm a little bit of both, but I think the reason you see me as a grounded mentor is because I'm always going to tell it like it is, right? That's just,
there you go.
Yeah, my style. I remember we had a graphic designer. She was so talented as a designer, but she just had, she was such an introvert, right? And so paralyzed, like when going to do client presentations. And the grounded mentor in me, I guess, using this phrase, right? I just kind of told her, you know what? Lean into what you love and what you're good at. And don't worry, like she just was, we worked and worked to try to get her to be a great presenter. But she just never was going to. The nerves got to her. That's okay. Then just be a great art director, right? And so I think that really helped her and freed her. And I wasn't the only one making that recommendation. Liz was involved. One of our coworkers, Don, had a lot to do with that as well. But yeah, I look at the grounded mentor as somebody who's not afraid to tell you the truth, maybe.
Right.
And it should also be someone that knows and appreciates your values, because that's typically what they're grounding you to, is your values, right? And so I wherever I got that advice from many years ago, I have always stood by it because I think it made a lot of sense. Not only from a mental headset, but also from the logic around my decision making and making sure that as I made the next decision of where to move, how to move, that I was keeping myself aspirational, but also keeping myself tied to my values.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Janet, because I kind of see you as an aspirational mentor. Do you agree?
Same.
And have any stories about that? Or
so I would say that where I have been fortunate enough to play a role to mentor women in particular, although many men as well, I have been a part of, those $46 billion corporations and people that are really strong and talented, up and comers, if you will. They just get lost in a sea of 46 billion, right? Or 22 billion or whatever the size of the company was. I've always found myself being able to be sort of that beacon in a storm for people when they don't know which way to go, but they see, wait a minute, she's a single mom with 3 kids and look what she's doing. I could probably do that too, right? So I have found myself, and I still have many of those women. As a matter of fact, one of them just got promoted recently.
Nice.
That are in my mentorship pool, if you will. And I appreciate that. I see the same thing from teaching in the executive MBA program at NIU. I see so many younger, meaning less tenured individuals that are trying to get somewhere, don't know how to go. So I feel a little bit Google Map-ish and a little bit mother and a little bit, let me kick your butt, because sometimes that's what you need. So it's being aspirational. Sometimes I think other people make you that aspirational person.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
That's what I want, right? But part of your job is to give them the dose of reality of what it takes to have that you think you see that you want. You need to see it holistically.
So you are our Google Maps and our beacon in the storm mentor, which they're both very aspirational.
There you go.
Can you talk a little bit? I think last time you talked about your networking framework and the 3 circles. How does, I believe one of them was like an inner circle of trusted advisors, right? And so can you talk about how that mentoring, and no matter the type, how that weaves into those circles for us a little bit?
Absolutely. So I've worked, there is a book called Net Worlding by Melissa Giovanoli, and she wrote it many years ago. And she teaches the art of having 3 circles that should comprise your network. The inner circle, no more than 6 to 8 people of truly internal trusted advisors, but make sure they're all different types, right? You don't want any halo effect here.
Okay.
The next circle is 10 to 12 people in your environment, people that are strong, either from an aspirational perspective or from a functional perspective, or they bring some level of expertise you would like to have. 10 to 12 of those. And then the outer circle is what I call the opportunity network. And that's where you are learning from, or want to learn from these people, or be exposed to these people, or be able to call on these people if you need insight.
Yeah.
And those, again, all walks of life, all tenure levels, all geographies, all functions, always vary your network. Designing the network is not the challenge. That's the easy part. The difficult part is working it, right? So I've always told my students, be intentional with that. You have to calendar that activity.
Gotcha.
Give that
idea.
activity 1 hour a week and calendar it. And you can use LinkedIn if you want as your tool. Have your network here, have your LinkedIn here, and just start going like this. I haven't talked to Mary in a while. Let me check in.
Got you. Oh, that's great advice.
You described a relatively big network, and being intentional. I think building a network that big could be difficult, right? Do you have some thoughts about how to help us build that network and how to put people in the right circle?
Absolutely. So I will tell you that those circle sizes I described, 6 to 8, 10 to 12, 15 plus, you don't have to start there. You can start out with 3 and maybe 6 in the outer circle.
Gotcha.
And maybe 10. And you don't have to start out with those numbers. I'm giving you average ranges of what was suggested. And so that's the first thing I'll tell you. Make the size work for you. You don't have to take that recommended size. The second thing I will tell you is that in all my years of helping people understand the art of networking, I've never had anyone go and say, hey, Liz, I'm really trying to get better at networking, and I'm being intentional about trying to build my network out. Would you be interested and willing to be part of my network, that somebody that I could call upon, maybe even just quarterly, touch base with or ask a question of? I've never had one person come back to me and say, Janet, Liz turned me down. Never.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's, I love that, because, I think maybe some of our listeners are thinking, oh gosh, it's going to be really hard to do that. And what if I get rejected? But just hearing that alone is worth the risk it might feel like you're taking in order to do that. Right. But you also, go ahead.
I think it's all members of women that I've walked through this process, right? I've never had anyone come back to me upset that they got turned down. And frankly, if they would have gotten turned down, then I have a second offer for you. If you're not willing to be in that dedicated group, I appreciate that. I respect your time. Would you be available if I had a specific question in your area? Would it be okay with you if I reached out? No one ever says, oh my God, no, don't ever reach out.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I was thinking that sometimes you don't even have to ask for their help. Sometimes you just tell somebody, I suck at networking, and the next thing you know, they're going to step forward and help you, just like you just helped us by telling us to calendarize it. So you don't always have to feel like you have to ask, right? Just talk. Just say what's on your mind.
Tell people it's 3 steps, right? It's design it. Number 1, be intentional about and ask for their participation. And then the number 3 is there's got to be a give and take, right? So you can never end a networking conversation with, well, thank you so much for your time, Mary. It's Mary. What can I do from you?
Oh, good. Yeah.
Very nice.
My third book recommendation was going to be this book called Rules for Revolutionaries. And it is by Guy Kawasaki, and it is also 1 million years old. But he has a chapter in there called, he is a great guy, teaching you how to eat like a bird and poop like an elephant. What that means is that a hummingbird eats 50% of its weight every day. Mm-hmm. That means take it in, take it in, take it in, right? An elephant, you know what an elephant claps. And so spread that stuff around. The concept is whatever you take in, when you go and utilize your network, make sure you're spreading it around, right? So, hey, did I tell you I read this incredible book last week? This is something that would be up your alley, blah, 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 right? And share that with Mary. Or what else can I do to help you, Mary? You've been so helpful to me. I would love to make sure that I'm there for you. Always end that way. Always give like eat like a bird and poop like an elephant. Always.
Great tip. You also emphasize revisiting your thinking every couple of years as it relates to this. Is that right?
Absolutely. If you would have asked me a few years ago as, chief operating officer of an agency, a digital agency, versus today being, publisher of a third largest monthly national publication in the country, my asks, my needs are different today than they were a few years ago, right? So if I don't stop and reevaluate, I now have, for the first time in my career, a publisher in my network. I'm not even sure I knew a publisher before this, right? So you have to stop and rethink. Even I do at my ripe stage, right? You have to stop and rethink. I also find that as I age in my career, I want more younger talent.
Right. Yes, me too.
I have benefited beautifully from people that were ahead of me. Now I want lots of people that are demographically behind me. And so that has changed my network. But you have to stop and revisit your bridge plan every couple of years for sure.
I often stop and ask myself, who else can help me? And oftentimes, Janet, just like you just said, it is a younger individual because I just feel that they've conquered some of the ways to utilize technology and other skills that I quite honestly, lack in.
Right. Absolutely.
So you went and yes, like the number 3, right? Publication, but I don't think we really talked about, I just want to talk about you for a little bit more if you will allow this, because you basically are a masterclass in bridging. You went from corporate executive to publisher, board member, educator, now a PhD candidate, but you're the publisher of Lincoln Way City Lifestyle. Am I saying that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Correct. And part of a national franchise with over 200 locations, and City Lifestyle is regularly on the Inc. 5000 list. So for our listeners, if you hear this advice, I would take it, because think about everything that Janet has accomplished in mastering this idea of bridging, right? I just think it's important for our listeners to hear that, and definitely check out Lincoln Way City Lifestyle for sure.
Appreciate that. It's City Lifestyle is the national franchise, and it is that national franchise that just became the number 3 monthly distributed publication in the country.
Wow.
Better Homes. Yeah, we're in a great place. It's very source of pride. Definitely a source of pride.
Oh, plus you do board service, right? You're executive MBA faculty. You mentioned that. I'd love to have a side conversation with you about that. I love teaching, and I'd love to hear more about that. And you're involved with executive development programs at Fortune 500 companies, right?
It's been fun.
Oh, my goodness.
Pretty well-rounded. Yep, pretty aspirational, if you ask me. You're a kick-ass woman, Janet.
Yeah, this is such a great gift, this conversation. Really, I feel lucky to be in it. I feel lucky for our listeners. My takeaway really is that you're basically giving us permission to design careers that fit our lives, right? Yeah. That actually fit our lives. And reminding us that growth doesn't always mean growing up. It means wide too, right? I think that that's really important to hear.
Absolutely.
Janet, leave us with any other advice that you've maybe just not put on the table yet.
I would just say if you feel like you've been climbing a ladder and you haven't chosen to bridge, do it. Mm-hmm. Don't ever be afraid of bridging, because what it produces, like I said, go ask our buddy Fernando Mendoza. It's bridging is, I think, absolutely the right methodology for today's world, for today's people.
All right. So for everybody listening, how can they get in touch with you? Because this is a conversation I think many are going to want to continue.
Sure.
And we want more of your resources.
Simplest way to reach me is just Janet Viane at Gmail. That's just a
Viane to our listeners. V as in Victor, Iane, Janet.
Yes. Yep.
We're really grateful that you came back and shared more words of wisdom with us.
Always love seeing you guys. Always.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. What a 1-2 punch, right, of kick-ass womanhood.
I love it.
Absolutely love it. Well, yes, thank you so much. The other people we would like to thank today is our sponsor, Women Belong. Women Belong is a membership organization that connects women from all walks of life. And you can join these incredible circles of individuals to make networking, as Janet was just telling us, a better tool for helping you achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life. So please look up womenbelong.com, and I hope you'll all come back and join us again very soon.
Yes, if this episode resonated, as we always say, share it, save it, subscribe to our podcast and our newsletter at kick-ass-women, that's plural.com. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.